Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about types of plants and animal tissues. Living organisms that are found in the world are divided into two types, unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular consists of only one cell, like bacteria, so it cannot make its own tissue. So if you found a unicellular organism and you look it up, you will not find a tissue in it. If a cell called the basic unit of life, then a group of cells together make up the tissues. So the tissue, in simple words, are the collection of some cells with similar structure to create a definite function. As we know that the plant and animal cells have a bit or a little difference between them. So when they create a higher level like a tissue, they have a great difference. And this little difference, when it grows, it makes a big difference in tissues, so it makes many types of plants and animal tissues. Firstly, let's talk about plant tissues. The pattern of growth that is seen in plants is also limited to certain areas. There are some tissues in plants that divide throughout their life that are generally restricted to certain regions. Therefore, we can differentiate the plant tissues on the basis of dividing capacity. According to this classification, there are two types of plant tissues. They are meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Then let's talk in details. The meristematic tissue, based on its location in a plant, meristematic tissues fall into two parts, primary and secondary. Both parts produce new cells through mitotic division and splitting the cells into. Primary meristematic tissues help the plant increase in its length or vertical growth. Secondary meristematic tissues help the plant in increasing in girth or lateral growth of its stem, branches, and roots. Also, secondary meristematic tissue is responsible for producing the bark on woody trees. The meristematic tissue has many special things. Firstly, it has a large nucleus. Secondly, it has a very dense protoplasm. Thirdly, it has many few vacuoles. And it has more special things, as it can heal the wounds of an injured plant, and it can rebuild itself or revive itself. We can find the meristematic tissue in the stems, branches, trees, and some flower, and too many other plants. Then let's talk about the permanent tissue. The permanent tissue is also known as the homogeneous. The permanent tissue is divided into two parts, simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues. An example of permanent tissue is parenchyma, cholenchyma, and sclerenchyma. An example of complex permanent tissue is xylem and phloem. Secondly, let's talk about the animal tissues. Animal tissues are too different from the plant tissues. As in the animal body, the body is ready to make many movements and is very complex, as it has many processes or too many processes in it, as the animals move to have a shelter and to have food and to have many things, and this makes too many types of animal tissues, as the epithelial, the muscular, the connective, and the nervous tissues. Epithelial tissues are widespread throughout the body. They form the covering of all body surfaces, line body cavities, organs, and are the major tissues in glands. They perform a variety of functions that include protection, secretion, absorption, excretion, filtration, diffusion, and sensory reception. And now let's talk about one of the most important tissues in our body. It's the muscular tissue. The muscular tissues are very important in our body because it helps us to move our body, and it's divided into three parts: skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cortic muscle. The skeletal muscle is the strongest type of it. The skeletal muscle is attached to skeleton and helps us to move our body, and it's about 40% of our body. The skeletal muscle is the only type of it which can be controlled by our own mind or by our own thinking. The smooth muscle tissue is only found in animal body, which means we can't control it with our own mind. or without our own thinking. It can be controlled only automatically by the nervous system. The last type is the cardiac muscles, which is only found in the heart, in our heart, which its function is to pump the blood into our whole body. Then let's talk about the connective tissues. Connective tissues is the tissue that connects, separates, and supports all other types of tissues in the body. Like all tissue types, it consists of cells surrounded by a compartment of fluid called the extracellular matrix. And now let's talk about the main and most important tissue in our body. It's the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is divided into two categories, the neurons and the neuroglia. The neurons or nerves transmit electrical impulses while neuroglia do not. Neuroglia have many other functions including supporting and protecting neuron. And now you're wondering or thinking why I repeated the same concept or the same sentence of the most important tissue twice. I meant it because I wanted to say that the muscle is very important to move our body, but behind this muscle is the nervous system that controls all the muscles and every single part of our body. So they are both the most important. The nervous system cannot do anything without muscles. The muscles cannot even move without nervous system. Thank you very much for listening. You can find more information or more details in the research below.